Now for our first conversation of the day, every year Young and the Future Generations Day is celebrated at COPs to highlight the power and participation of youth at the UN Climate Change Conference. Now throughout the day, youth-led side events, workshops and activities take place with a continuous stream of creative and collaborative actions that emphasize the important role of youth in climate action. Now, to highlight the importance of science at the Youth Day, I'm now joined by youth activists from the Namibian Youth and Renewable Energy and Namibian Youth representatives for COP27, Atushe, Mubonenwa. Good morning, Atushe, and welcome. Good evening, Atushe, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for welcoming me to the show.
All right. Now, kindly highlight to us the importance of youth participation and the change they add to climate mitigations.
Firstly, Namibian youth need to portray the willingness of their for attitude. They need to say where is the will, and where they need to understand that where there is the will, there is a way. Namibian youth need to be properly engaged, empowered, effectively, and to be well equipped for them to be catalysts against the effects or the impact of climate change. Also, they need to have a behavioral change for energy efficient society. And Namibian youth can also mobilize through organizations like the NIORE, which is the Namibian Youth on Renewable Energy, and create awareness through public education and entrepreneurship. Youth are also passionate about nature-based solutions, and many can take part in such carbon sink projects.
All right. Now, what were some of the notable contributions Namibian youth have made towards COP27? Some that you can actually share with us, especially in regards to the discussions that were held today.
Well, there was no necessarily financial support this year among the youth. The youth didn't organize financial support this year, but what I can say is that with a call for volunteers and hundreds of responses, we also contributed to the Global Youth Climate Declaration. Today, the youth contributions to the young and the future generations for further recognition of the role of youth. And also, we contributed as we tried to make negotiations with other countries, other youth, and see how we can work together, or let's say, yes, work together so that we can help beat whatever problem that it is that we're facing in our country. So let me say, form synergies with other youth from other countries and try and combat climate change and see, okay, you have different weather patterns in your country. How can we address this? And in Namibia, we have these type of weather patterns, and we also see how we can address these, and also looking for effective implementations that we can bring back after COP. So yes.
All right. Now, what were some of the findings of the sixth assessment report, from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, as well as the UN body responsible for advancing knowledge on human-induced climate change?
Well, the world is at a tipping point, and continued rising emissions and are only going to worsen already affected countries. The report demands for increased ambition, and I would like to add some statistical values, but unfortunately my network is pretty slow, so I was trying to load them, but the values aren't able to load at the moment.
All right. Now, how do you think young people can seek and find concrete ways to transform education to tackle climate change?
Excuse me, ma'am?
How do you think the young people can find concrete ways to transform education to tackle climate change?
Well, already education is very critical in addressing the issue of climate change. The UNFCCC gave the parties or state members the responsibilities to create educational and public awareness on climate change and ensure public participation in the programs. Through education, youth can encourage can be encouraged to change their attitudes and behavior and make informed decisions. Schools, if they are not already doing it, can teach the youth the impact of global warming and how to adapt to change. Not only that, youth should be willingly themselves to go the extra mile and learn or try to understand how to make a change in the world. This can be either through these free platforms such as YouTube and see how they can make a very effective impact in the world. But beginning firstly with local um, local collectiveness and just being a unit, being part of a union or communities. We're trying to arrange with local communities. So yes.
All right. Now, with the fourth industrial revolution slowly emerging in Namibia, what modern technologies or innovative methods can young people come up with that can also contribute to climate mitigation efforts?
I would say that is unimaginable but inevitably possible. So there are many innovations using the fundamentals of for the fourth industrial technologies, and youth can use it to innovate. They can share ideas around what they did without mentioning the project, but how it came to be. Um, and they can also tackle the knowledge gap and have access to finances without funds, create ideas and innovations that may go to waste. We need to have effective and strong technologies that provide adequate early warnings, especially to affected areas. Perhaps technologies which can make crops more resilient to droughts or flood so that we alleviate drought and floods effects.
All right. Atushe, thank you so much for joining us on the Daily Roundup, and we'll surely catch up with you more.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that was Atushe Mubonenwa, who is a youth activist, talking to us about the Youth and Future Generation Day that was celebrated today at COP27. Don't go anywhere.